Okay, this evening we are going to be talking about unlocking human potential through mind body wellness so that we can feel better, think better, and live better, regardless of where we may be at this point in our time, in our lives, regardless of if we feel better than we've felt, we can feel better. And the same for our thinking and our quality of life, it can all be better. And when we speak about human potential, we're, of course, talking about that God given gifts and talents and capacity that we have to grow, to create, to develop, to accomplish the things that we have not yet been able to do because our potential really is limitless. And why through mind body wellness is because the quality of our mind determines the condition of our body. And we must have our mind and body functioning in harmony in order for us to be able to tap our potential. And we'll get to see how that works. The fact that we're talking about unlocking human potential suggests that this capacity that we have to achieve far more than we might have been able to up to this point is somehow concealed or not available for us to just embrace and walk through life exercising this our full potential. And the reason why that really is so is because 90% of us, 90% of humanity, the mind body connection or the mind body harmony that's natural to our being, most of us don't really know what that is. We are familiar with the term, but the experience of what that is like is really unfamiliar to the average person. And because that is so, and that is the focus of our discussion this evening, is why we have to talk about unlocking our human potential, which is all through our mind body wellness, the wellness of the mind, which is going to determine the wellness of the body. Now, because we are unfamiliar with this, it expresses itself in two fundamental ways that I just want to bring to our attention as a lead up into our discussion. There is a human condition which we all face. Again, 90% of the people on the planet face what I'm going to be talking about in these first two slides that outlines the human experience that most of us are facing, including perhaps most of us on the call as well, which is a reflection of our potential not being tapped because of the mind body in disharmony. And the first aspect of it is a global pandemic, which the World Health Organization calls the global burden of disease. And it's a pandemic that's affecting the entire world. And it's a greater pandemic than the one we experienced a few years back, the COVID pandemic, which killed, they say, about 20 million people in over the 2 year period. But this pandemic kills 50 million people a year. And it is most of us, based on statistics, most of us are going to get to the end of our life by one of these lifestyle diseases. It's not going to just hit us one day and take us out. Most of us, we are going to spend the last 10, 20, 30 years of our life in a slow decline, uh, nursing one of these lifestyle conditions until it eventually takes us out. That's how 8 out of 10 of us leave the planet, is by one of these lifestyle diseases. This is rampant. um, it is a slow process of decline over the years, so much so that we think that it's all age related and it's natural part of aging. That is not so. We don't understand the cause of this. And when I say we don't understand, we call it lifestyle diseases, but yet our approach to trying to solve this challenge is not fixing our lifestyles. It's all to do with trying to fix it by introducing different types of remedies and formulas to try to fix it, but never looking at the style of living that leads us to this. And if we don't understand the root cause of any problem, the solution is likely to only address symptoms, which in medicine, and certainly in my 25 years of clinical experience, that's the approach. We control and we manage symptoms, but restoration of what true health is almost never done. And so this is one aspect, and this is not just about the condition of our bodies declining over time. I want us to understand that this has far-reaching implications because out of health or ill health comes relational problems, comes financial issues. It cascades into affecting our life. When we begin to lose our health, it affects everything else in our lives. And so we need to be able to get a handle on this because this is not something that any of us have to go through. If we are already in a place where one of these lifestyle conditions have already begun to develop in our bodies, I want you to know you can get rid of it 100%. You can get rid of it. You may have been told different, but you can get rid of it. If you don't have one, you can prevent it. Wherever we are in our physical wellness, we can improve it, we can recover, and we can prevent. Now, there is a flip side to this experience, this human experience that most people on the planet go through. There's a flip side to it. And it's not separate from, it's an extension of this. And although we don't see it as two parts of the same thing, and it's another pandemic, I call it a global economic pandemic. And in both developed and developing countries, the rising costs of cost of living is affecting all of us. Now, I don't want to dwell on this, but I just want to connect the two by looking at some of these stats. In a recent survey, around 42% of people indicated they don't have enough emergency savings funds. You're going to appreciate where I'm going to be going with this and how it could impact your life positively. 37% of people report that they can't afford any unexpected expenses over $400. Over 60% of adults have less than $500 in savings in their saving accounts. Nearly half, 47% of respondents cited that their regular monthly expenses are too high to allow them to build up savings. More than half of people feel stressed about not having enough savings for emergencies. My whole point of this is that when I was in clinical practice, one of the most common challenges that people face was saying that your programs and making a change to healthy living, a healthy lifestyle, and healthy commodities are too costly. And so to live healthy is an expensive ordeal, is what people often say. So although we're talking about two different things, the conditions we develop in our bodies and the struggle, our financial struggles, there are two sides really of the same coin, and we'll get to understand that. And I want to say that to say this, that if we want to improve our financial position in life, we have to improve our health. And if we want to improve our health, we have to improve our financial position. But which comes first? What comes first is looking after our physical well-being. Because the mindsets and the mentality that causes us to engage life in a way that brings our physical wellness down is the same mindsets and mentality that prevents us from being able to tap our potential where we can live more successfully and a more prosperous life. I want to say that again, that the same mentality and the same mindsets that causes us to live in such a way where we lose our health over time, our physical wellness, is exactly the same that causes us not to engage with life where we can live at our best. And so these are two sides of the same coin, but this is not how it's meant to be. You and I can live not only completely disease free, but we can live a life where we do not have to struggle financially and see our natural position. And later on, you're going to get to see how this all is going to come full circle. Our potential to live disease-free and our potential to live prosperous are two expressions of the same inner power that we all possess. And that inner power is where our potential is. And by recognizing and nurturing this power, we allow the inherent potential of both healing and well-being and prosperity to naturally flourish. And just to show you the model of how it works so I can get to the point, of mind body balance or mind body wellness is for us to understand our natural position, our natural nature, our true nature is to be whole, to be complete, to be balanced. Our inherent nature really is that of love. Love is our natural state of being. We may not experience that because of how we've been acculturated in this world. But when we have the three dimensions of our being, body, soul, and spirit, all in harmonious balance as one interconnected, seamlessly whole being, in that state, we are going to function at our best. This is not, that's another conversation, but just to say that our spiritual essence, our spiritual potential, the true essence of our being as spiritual being is where our potential really lies. And that is where, if we want to unlock our potential, this is where we need to get to. But as we go through this journey called life, life is designed in such a way based on principles that govern how creation works. And if we live in alignment along with principles, we flow through life in such a way that we will abundance, health, prosperity is the natural outcome. Again, that's another conversation. But here's what happens. You and I, we are taught to live in a particular way from a very early age. As we go through this journey called life, it presents us with a continuous contrast of opposites. It's happening every minute of every day. We're having to make choices, make decisions. We're having to choose between opposites all the time. And I say that just so that we can understand and capture that choice is the mechanism by which we are going to navigate this journey we call life. Where we are today is the sum total of all the choices we've been making up until now. And what happens is that we learn from a very early age to be able to choose in such a way that we lose the very essence of our being. We are acculturated in such a way to place more value on material success over inner growth, to value things more on external appearance than on internal values. And so we make choices that contradict the core values of our belief. And because we want to fit in, we want to be accepted, societal expectations, etc., we make choices, but in other words, we're choosing against our own self, and that is where the problem begins. It creates a fracture in our consciousness. It creates a fracture in our being. Psychology calls it cognitive dissonance. I call it mind-body dissonance, a disharmony between our outer and inner worlds. It's a fractured way of living between what we think, feel, and know to be true, distort, and our actions and our behaviors. And we see it all the time in simple things like we may not be feeling well and we may be going through a certain situation and a friend come and say, how you're doing? You say, I'm doing good, man. Or we know what we should or shouldn't do in a particular situation, and we don't prioritize it, and we go against what we really feel and what we really think because of other people's opinions. A common place that we see it is how we feed our bodies and how we treat our bodies. We know what we should or shouldn't eat, and we know what we should or shouldn't be doing to improve our wellness, but yet we don't necessarily do it. It's a fracture, and this is where we lose our potential, because the true essence of our being, our spiritual nature, where our potential resides, it becomes obscured in the background. And this is where we begin to fight with life. And this fractured way of living and thinking and being, this conflict that goes on between our inner and outer worlds, this is what splits into this cycle that we get caught in, where there's a reduced quality of life and a struggle standard of living. On one side, we develop diseases. On the other side, we struggle to make ends meet. And life is a continuous cycle. Life is a fight. Life is a struggle. And then we get to the end of the line one day because of one of these diseases, and we die in debt, and we pass the debt on to our families. So this is where we need to get this is so central. This is not just central to our own personal journey in terms of the quality of our life and our standard of living. This is where society breaks down. This is where we develop mindsets, attitudes, ways of dealing with life and dealing with one another. This is where social polarization, this is where judgments, this is where it all begins, right here. And what we want to do is be able to walk this back. We want to be able to walk it right back into living a life of wholeness, where our true potential, and believe me, that potential is far greater than we may even think. So when we prioritize outer influences of our inner values, we create a disharmony in living, manifesting as what we call stress and negative emotions, and resulting in the loss of our spiritual potential to live our best life. And the solution is that if we want to regain this mind-body balance, our thoughts, our emotions, our words, and our actions must realign with the spiritual values of our well-being. And what governs that, our true essence of being, again, is love and all the other qualities that come out of that. Now, I understand that that may sound simplistic, but it's very heavily involved and there's a lot of dynamics. But this is basically the model that we work with, the model that I have been following, the model that has changed my life, and the model that we're teaching. And so we want to be able to work with, the key is our mind and body must come back into their natural alignment and harmony. The result is our true essence begins to emanate and life begins to change. So it is not about, oh, I'm getting old, and so I'm bound to get sick because I'm getting old. It doesn't work that way. Because we can get to a ripe old age. We can get to 100 years old, and we could still be walking 5 miles, and we could still be living well, and we could just lie down in our beds one day and just quietly go to the other side. We don't need to suffer with a disease. I understand that I'm talking about all things being in order. So yes, it is a total order of what I'm saying. And while we may not determine the quantity of what life may be, we can determine the quality of it. And so between the mind and the body, between the vessel that's taking us through the experience of life and the mind which is creating and shaping those experiences, the key is we need to get them in harmony and in balance so that we can unlock the potential to live disease-free lives and to live prosperous lives. And I'm going to take us on a little journey to help us to see how we can actually capture that and how we can be able to work that. And the key to this mind-body balance is found in neurology. And neurology is just the science of the brain and the nervous system and how they communicate. It is the communication network between the mind and the body. So let me just give us a feel that we can wrap our hands around of how it works. Mind and body converge here in neurology. And neurology is the brain and the nervous system. We're going to call this the hardware. This is the control center that processes the activity of the mind and transmits the information to the body. The mind controls the body. That's what, if you want to make a note, that is the note. The mind controls the body. And how it works is that there is what we call a genetic programming, which we will call the operating system. This is the blueprint of subconscious instructions that automatically informs optimal biological function and life-sustaining functions and the defense and the protection of the body. And so how does that work? The subconscious mind gives instructions, the brain transmits that through the nervous system to everything in the body. So right now, every one of the trillions of cells in our bodies are performing their functions. We are breathing, our heart is beating. There are trillions of things happening in our bodies right now, and it's all happening automatically because the subconscious mind, where the pre-installed programs are genetically encoded, are constantly given instructions that runs the body. Those instructions are processed by the brain and transmitted to the body through the nervous system. That's how it's happening right now. So just get that. Right now, it's all happening because our subconscious mind is running our body. 95% of what's happening with our body is all automatic. Only 5% we have control over. The other part of it now is lifestyle programming. And the lifestyle programming is these are acquired patterns of subconscious thoughts, emotions, beliefs, and lifestyle habits that automatically create our life experiences. Again, the body is running automatically for the most part. And again, our lives are running automatically for the most part. Only 95% of our behaviors, 95% of our behaviors is automatic. When we think, we're not consciously trying to think, we're just thinking. Nobody taught us how to think, we just think. When somebody says something and it offends us, we don't consciously decide I'm going to be offended, we just get offended. When somebody does something to us that we don't like and we feel hurt, we don't consciously decide, I think I'm going to feel hurt, we just get hurt. It all happens automatically. And this lifestyle programming, it's programmed in subconscious mind, just like the genetic program is in the subconscious mind. And how it's intended to work is that the lifestyle programming, when it's based on our true nature, love, joy, peace, kindness, gentleness, when it's all the qualities of love that emanates from love, which is now compatible with the genetic programming, because the genetic programming in the subconscious mind that's running our entire biology is based on balance, harmony, unity, synchronicity. It's all harmony and oneness. So when our lifestyle programming that is installed through our life experiences is in harmony, everything is in order. But if we have a lifestyle that's habituated with negative subconscious thoughts and emotions, suppressed traumas, chronic stress, and unhealthy lifestyle habits, that disrupts the genetic programming, inducing disharmony between the mind and body. And that creates a conflicting template of instructions. This is all validated by two medical science. It's called psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics. How we think and how we feel has greater impact on our genetic expression, our DNA, and our biological function more than what we eat and drink. And so it's important that we understand that what's running the body automatically, that programming, it's either going to be, our lifestyle programming is either going to be compatible with it or incompatible. And for 90% of us, it is incompatible. Not because We decided it's because we've been conditioned and acculturated to perceive life and interact with life, and we learn it this way. And as a result, we have a global pandemic of disease, followed by a global economic pandemic, and life is a struggle. And this is where it's all happening. Now, psychoneuroimmunology and epigenetics teach us that if we can change this pattern, if we can remove all these traumas and negative and we can restore it back to being more positive, it produces what they call spontaneous healing. Spontaneous healing is a phenomenon. If you're not familiar with it, you should Google it and search it. Tens of thousands of documented cases where people that have life-threatening conditions or terminal illnesses that completely recover from them without any specific medical interventions or any specific type of interventions. It's because of just life changes that affects all of these things that we're talking about here. Put those back in order. In other words, make them more compatible with the genetic programming, and everything comes back in order. When the mind and body are in their natural state of harmony, the intelligence that runs the body maintains its homeostasis, its balance. It optimizes physical and mental functions, and it prevents the body from developing disease. Not only that, we're talking about the physical condition, but the very mentality, the very change in mindsets, the very change in outlook and perceptions, the very change in beliefs that bring you to this point is the very thing that causes us to engage life in such a way that we also become more successful and greater achievements in our lives as well. There are two sides of one coin, and I just want to continue to emphasize that. And so what we do, the magic is all on the inside. It's all on the inside. It's mind body in connection. This is how we are genetically and divinely designed and wired. But because we don't understand this, and as a result have this global pandemic of disease, we have a model of healthcare that does not acknowledge this alignment, even though it's medically known. There's no approach to it. This is the approach that we have. When we start to see mind body imbalances appear in our bodies, things like poor sleep, low energy, chronic inflammation, aches and pains, a weak immune system, poor mobility, we start to see signs of it as we go through life. We're seeing these things every day in our life, and it's so common we think nothing of it. But if we have to address it, the current solutions is always taking something external. It's always what can I take and not what do I need to change? How should I think? How should I live? It's not internal. We're taught to think of it as everything external. And so these solutions, while they may save our life, they will not restore our health. And so while they may be needed, it's not going to take us where we need to go. And so for short terms, yes. But I'm suggesting to us, if we want to up-level our living, I'm not just talking improving our physical wellness, I'm talking about improving our entire well-being, to live at a higher level and to live more effectively, which would include overcoming illness, but more than that, better relationships, better effectiveness in the way we interact with life, and deal with the opportunities that comes our way. So the current solutions, they don't solve the problem. It's a one size fits all. And they come with a lot of side effects and contraindications and challenges that make it difficult. But the long and short of it is that the entire healthcare model today, while it has its place, it will not save us. We need to have, if we're talking about unlocking our potential and living our best life, we need to go beyond this. The world needs a completely new approach and one that recognizes the real challenge. Along my journey, as I engage with people and as I'm always looking at how to improve, because this whole mind body wellness has been my journey for a long time, has been my journey for years. Along the way, I heard of a gentleman who who was going a completely different direction to the rest of the world in the health and wellness space, because he recognized what the challenge was. And as I looked at what he was doing, and I started to engage in what he was doing, I must tell you, it has no short of just impressed me. Very impressive. In my 30 years in the healthcare industry and 25 years of clinical practice, I have not come across anything that has a greater impact on human well-being than what he has discovered. And I say I haven't come across it because nothing else actually exists. It has never existed before. It's something that is so new. It is introducing a completely new era of wellness, so much so that when I explain it to you, you may have to open up your mind a little bit to capture the simplicity of it, but because it is so profoundly powerful. The man's name is Jay Dhaliwal, and he's the founder and CEO of a company called Super Patch Company. And he made a statement of passion that he was going to build something generational that was going to transform the world by merging state-of-the-art science with a holistic approach to well-being. And this approach was actually targeting restoring and optimizing the natural capacity of the mind and the body. That I have never heard before. And so as I looked into what he was doing, it impressed me. As I tried it for myself, it impressed me. And what I found and what I'm going to share with you is a bridge. That's my perception. It's a bridge that bridges the gap, to help us to get back to this place of mind-body harmony, where we can now walk that process back to wholeness. And so the simplicity of what he has done, it is as simple as putting on a pair of spectacles. See, like when our eye function and our vision becomes impaired, we can take a pair of glasses, and just by putting these glasses on our face, our vision goes from being blurred to being cleared instantly. Simple. In a very similar manner, when the brain's neural programs that runs the biology, when they go out of balance, from all the interference of our lifestyles, by simply applying a super patch, which is 100% drug-free and non-invasive, by simply applying it to your skin, the neural functions of the brain and body improve instantly. When I heard that, I needed to understand how that was even possible. I'm going to show you a short video, just about 2.5 minutes, of an EEG test that he's doing, and then I'll explain how it really works so that you can capture that and see how you can begin to incorporate this as part of your lifestyle and walking that process back into a life of wholeness.
Hi everyone, I'm Jay Dhaliwal. I'm the CEO and founder of Vox Life and the creator of Vox Life HPT. Today, I want to talk to you about our Harmony Neuro Patch. And what this product does is actually stimulates receptors on our skin, sending a neurosignal to our brain to help it reach homeostasis. This is the only product in the world that relies on the neurohaptic system that every single one of us has to optimize our neurology and optimize our health. Today, with the help of Dr. Marta Brinkett, our VP of Clinical Strategy, we're going to be using an FDA-cleared 19-channel EEG headset, as well as FDA-cleared software to visualize, record, and show the impact that our technology has on our neurology and our brains to help it reach optimal performance. What we want to show today is how the Harmony Neuro Patch helps that dysregulated yellow, blue, and red colors in the brain maps transform into that healthy green homeostasis neurology that is the foundation of health and wellness. So what we're looking at right now is a neurological QEEG output of Mike's limbic system. The 19 channels are reading over 60,000 brainwaves a second and generating an output of neurofunction and brainwaves. What we want to see now is where that suboptimal red and yellow colors are, we want to see them turning as much as possible to a healthy green with the application of our HPT patch. So we've applied the patch now to Mike's arm, and within 10 seconds, you're seeing that predominant yellow and red become predominantly green. Just for clarification, ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing in the world that has this output at this rate of speed without drugs, without chemicals, without electricity. That's the power of Vox HPT. So when we see a healthy green neurology, what we're looking at is a brain and a mind in homeostasis. It is operating in its optimal function. And this is so important. And this is why it's so important. So VoxLife HPT, as we demonstrated with our neuropatch, helps the central nervous system reach homeostasis in our neurology. And the reason this is so important for overall wellness and health is that neurology is the top of the pyramid of our physiological health and wellness paradigm. First is neurology at the very top, then there's chemistry, then there's biology, then there's physics and mechanics. Neurology will have an impact all the way through our entire physiology. Healthy neurology, healthy body, better wellness.
Let me just explain a little bit about what he just said before I tell you about the Nobel Prize research that the technology is built on, just trying to simplify a complex process so that you can capture the value of this. In the EEG test, he said that they were looking at 60,000 brain waves a second. But what I just want to say is that the brain waves, the activity of the brain is measured in these waves. But what it's measuring is the activity of the mind. The activity of the mind, as it gives instructions that the brain transmits to the body for the body to carry out its functions, is measured in waves. That's important to be able to capture the value of how he was able to do what he's doing with just a simple patch. It's for us to understand that. Now, to capture this, or what makes it easy, what makes it relatable, is to think about radio waves, which are around us right now. Radio waves are being transmitted and they're all around us. We can't hear it, we can't see it, but if we were to get a receiver, an amplifier, and we tuned it in there to the right frequency, the data that's traveling on those waves, we'll begin to hear the data. It might be a conversation, it might be music, but it's traveling on radio waves around us right now. In other words, the waves carries the information that the body needs that is being transmitted by the mind. You got that? The mind transmits the instructions, the brain relays it through the nervous system to the body to function. That's how it happens. Now, the Nobel Prize research that is built on goes back to 1939 when a researcher, Dr. Rabi, he found out that all atoms, including every atom within every cell of the human body, constantly emits and receive radio waves, what we today call electromagnetic waves, that they can be detected and they can be measured. That's important. That went on to earn him the Nobel Prize, which now we have MRI and EEG machines today because of his discoveries. And then in more recent times, two more Nobel Prize laureates, building on the understanding of that science, through sensory biology, they discovered that specific receptors embedded in the sensory neurons of the skin, they're called piezo ion channels, they convert vibration, texture, and temperature into electrical signals, which are interpreted as information by the nervous system and the brain. Now, that may sound complex, but it's just simply saying that the skin is able to detect vibrations when anything touches the skin, and it sends a sensory signal to the brain where the brain interprets it as information. Now, here's a simple way that we can relate to understand this. It can understand it by with Braille. Braille is what blind persons use to read. Now, a blind person learns a language just like we do, but they can't see the words. So When they touch these are raised dots that are arranged in tactile patterns. When their fingers go on top of these dots, and sometimes when you look at Braille, you wonder how can they even distinguish one pattern from the next when they're all next to each other like that. Well, what happens is that through these same ion channels, when they rest their fingers on it, each pattern carries its own sensory vibration, takes that information to the brain, and the brain interprets it as to whether it's an A, B, C, D, a one, two, or three, or a word. So each pattern has its own frequency or its own vibration that the brain interprets the information. That's how blind persons are able to read. So if you go from B to G, for example, you have changed the pattern, so you have changed the vibration, therefore you've changed the information it's carrying. The brain interprets it and it knows one letter or one word from the other because each vibration carries different information, pretty much like a radio frequency. So, if it is, and how the brain works in terms of running our bodies, the subconscious mind sends a signal. Let's say you have a flu and your immune system has not been working well. The brain has instructions that keeps our immune system working optimally to where you will not get sick. But since you have the flu, your immune system was not working well. And why that happened is because the instructions that comes from our subconscious mind to optimize our immune system, the signal that goes on that wave was not clear. Why was it not clear? Because there's interference from other signals like negative thought patterns and negative emotions and how we are dealing with stress. There is interfering with the signals, so the signals are not clear. It's like you having the dial on your radio station and it's not quite on the station. And so the signal is garbled, there's static, it's not coming through clear. Or sometimes you can have it directly on the station, but maybe you're out of range and so the information that's coming through it's not clear. That's what's happening in effect. If you want to understand it, the immune system is not getting the instructions clearly because the signal has interference in it. Superpatch works on exactly the same principle. Superpatch are are patches that have no ingredients in it, but they have tactile patterns. It's called vibrotactile technology. What Superpatch has been able to do, what Jay Dhaliwal has discovered after 15 years of research and development and spending $25 million of his own money in research, he's been able to discover that when these signals are not clear, the information that is needed to make the signals clear so that the instructions go clearly to the body so that the body will optimize its function. That is known in neurology that this is the signal that is needed. But medicine has not, you can't pop a pill, you can't take an injection, and you can't use a scalpel to define the signal and make it clear. But and so Superpatch was able to discover, and this is what's proprietary to the company, is how to get that signal clear and clean. So what Superpatch does is that, like Braille, they have discovered if you can put that a particular pattern that sends a sensory vibration to the brain that harmonizes the signal so that the information goes clearly to the body and the body optimizes its function. That's it. From the skin, sends a sensory vibration, just like Braille. It carries the information, the brain interprets it, and the signal is the harmony, is a harmonizing signal to make the immune system, it sends the signal clearly to the immune system optimizes, and your sickness goes away. If that were to happen, your sickness will go away rather than in a week, it will go away in a couple of hours. That's how fast it will work if you can optimize the immune system. And so, in effect, this is what Superpat using just tactile patterns to send a signal to the brain that carries the information that harmonizes, whether it be the immune system, the digestive system, or whatever system needs. The signal is not clear, it just harmonizes it, makes it clear, and the system optimizes. In essence, that's how it works. So after 15 years of research and development, vibrotactile technology has become peer-reviewed and published research science. It's now published in major medical and scientific journals. That's being accepted around the world now. And so it's now clear, bona fide science that's catching the attention of many people around the world. Last year, the company was invited to present at global major symposiums where the best of these medical minds come together. Most recently, last November at the World Congress of Psychiatry, the World Congress of Pain, the European Sleep. So there are people that are looking at this and saying, this is actually so amazing because it's never been done before, where you can get the instructions from the mind to now come through so clearly to the body that it optimizes the body's function without introducing anything into the body. Just harnessing the body's own natural intelligence to do what it naturally does by just harmonizing and synchronizing the signals that the mind is just constantly instructing the body to do. And because there's interference, it now bypasses that, clarifies it, and our system starts to work better. And so, like Braille, the tactile patterns on each superpatch send sensory vibrations as electrical signals to the brain, targeting the synchronizers of neural pathways linked to specific physical and emotional functions. This amplifies the mind-body communication and optimal performance happens. This is bringing mind and body back into their natural harmony in the most natural way. And it's just harnessing what already exists. It's just making the signal clean. That's all it's doing. The patches are not going to make your immune system work better. It's not going to take away your pain. It's not the patches doing it. It is the patches cleaning the signal up where the frequency is clear and clean, so the instructions go straight to your body and your body does what it does, and it does it very quickly. And so the company has 12 patches, 12 ways of which they harness this mind-body communication, and they're 100% drug-free performance and wellness solutions designed to enhance what the brain and body naturally are meant to do when they're properly coordinated. Each super patch has a unique pattern that stimulates the mind-to-body connection, enhancing the body's intelligence response mechanisms to achieve greater physical and mental function. It is the most natural thing you could ever want to improve your physical well-being at the most optimal level. But more than that, because mind and body converge in neurology, when you begin to use these patches to enhance your physical well-being, what you're doing at the same time is enhancing your mental well-being as well. So that EEG test that we just saw on the video, when Jay said we're looking at bringing the brain into homeostasis and balancing Mike's limbic system, that's the part of the brain that deals with emotional responses. So what happens in terms of physical and mental well-being, you're going to start to see more emotional resilience, more mental resilience. You're going to see clearer thinking. You're going to start to experience maybe difference in temperament over time of using it. And so what am I saying? This is not just about you're bringing that fracture where on one side your body is paying the price, on the other side we're struggling with life. This is the bridge now that is bringing your body back into better shape and your mind into a better place where you could now begin to walk that process back. This is absolutely amazing, and there's nothing in the world that exists today anywhere in the healthcare space that can help us to do this. And so these are mind-body solutions that we all need to enhance physical and mental well-being. They're backed by research, proven by science, addressing the biggest needs in health, wellness, and lifestyle performance. They're effective with almost immediate results, And there are loads of testimonies from all across the world with how this is happening. One does not have to be concerned about contraindications because there are no ingredients, there's no electricity, there's no frequencies. It's completely safe, it's non-invasive, and they're very easy to use. Safe even for children, safe for the very elderly. And when you come to talking about a balanced neurology, you're also talking about disease prevention. Because if we can keep our neurology, if we can keep our mind body connection in harmony and in balance, not only are you talking about optimal biological function and enhanced mental function, you're now going into another realm of disease prevention, reduced risk of degeneration, because the mind is what controls it all. And as long as we can keep the signal, that the instructions that come from mind and transmitted by the brain to the body, as long as we can keep that signal clean and clear, which is difficult to do because for us to do that, what do we have to do? We now have to start cultivating our thoughts, our mindsets, our emotional response to life. We have to start nurturing that because that's what's causing a lot of the interference of the signal. But in the meantime, we can use the patch to keep the signal clear, to keep the signal clean, to keep things optimal. And as our mentality and our biology improves, we can begin to nurture our lives and begin to walk that process back. So just to go through a few of the patches, the liberty, which was just demonstrated, a good way to demonstrate this is with lateral and dynamics balance testing as well. When you put this patch on, your strength, your balance, and your stability improves in seconds. This is good for, especially for elderly people who are having issues with mobility and easily have falls. My dad, in using this, was able to now get rid of his walker after a few days of using this. This is an absolutely, this is the foundational patch that balances, when it balances your brain and brings it into coordinated and orderly function, over time that translates into more orderly function of your biological systems as well. This is perhaps the number one problem, in my opinion, and there are a lot of experts that also say the same, that of all the pillars of health, the one that contributes to our downfall the most, and especially cognitive problems, is not being able to get restful REM sleep. And most of us don't get REM sleep, even though we may sleep through the night. And that's really going to help us to do that. This is one of my favorite patches. It's called Peace. It keeps the autonomic nervous system, which is what's running everything automatically. And based on research, most of us, our autonomic nervous system is always in high rev because we're always stressed. This helps to keep that regulated. It helps to bring a sense of calm if you're feeling overwhelmed and anxious. It calms you right down, but it helps your systems to work more coordinated and more in balance as well. And so when you start to get your biological systems in balance, the far-reaching implications are huge as to what it means for your physical well-being. The defend is to upregulate your immune system. Again, it's not the patches doing it. The patches will brings the neural pathways in the brain that govern the immune system. It brings it into optional balance so that the body functions the way it's supposed to function. This one, you get a 72% reduction in pain when you people use the freedom. You can get freedom from pain, some people within seconds, some people within minutes, some people within hours, some people within days, because everybody's pre-existing imbalances may be different. If you're an athlete and you want that extra edge on the field, if you like your workouts and you want to have a more engaged workout, you want to optimize the athletic performance, definitely, I challenge anybody to try this because I've not had anybody say different, including myself. You're going to feel more power, more strength. You can tell the difference. And to enhance your heart rate variability with this, that is huge in what that means for maintaining good cardiovascular health. And so the Victory is a wonderful patch. By the way, you don't have to be an athlete to be able to use that. The focused patch, enhanced focus and attention, mental clarity, again, clean signal, gets the centers of your brain functioning clearly where you see the difference in. This happens to be this has become one of my favorite patches, particularly when I'm doing my research and my reading and so on. For those who want to burn some extra calories, but you're not able to get extra activity in, the Ignite will help to increase 25% more calorie burn while you're at rest. Um, I've heard a number of people say that it also helps them with in terms of um, causing them to not crave certain foods. It also has helped them to be able to manage their diets better and so on. For men who tend to be losing that masculine function as we get older, you want to reclaim that virility, more energy and stamina, more stamina. This here will work very well for you, and I can tell you it works. The Lumi, for that luminescent glow, better, healthier skin. And it's not just for aesthetics, but number of people, I've had numerous people with various skin issues that have used this, and it has helped that. And by the way, it also works because your intestinal lining is an extension of your skin. It works very well to help to repair the gut lining as well. Um, Kick it is for those who are trying to kick bad habits, you're trying to overcome certain addictions. This helps to regulate the emotional centers of the brain where that compulsion for this thing softens that right down so you can now make a choice to just move away from that. Joy, this cannot be said enough. The value of this patch, uh, it helps to regulate these clean signals in your brain where you have a more optimistic mood, uplifted sense of well-being, more of a positive attitude, um, more of a sense of joy. It's such a wonderful patch to use. The latest one that the company just brought out in November, we you don't need to go for these stimulant drinks and these energy drinks. You use the boost patch, you will have energy on demand, clear, clean energy on demand. The patches are very simple to use. Um, you just peel it off, you stick it on anywhere from under your feet all the way up. You can put them on anywhere in your body. Um, and you just need to make sure that they're adhere well, because if you could be going into water, you'll be taking a shower. You don't want the water to get under it because it will come off. Each patch lasts for 24 hours. Um, Super Patch is supported by an advisory board of medical professionals who are world renowned in their right. They work with the research and development team in real world application outside to make sure and ensure that the patches maintain the efficacy, and they continue to gain more and more ground. It's partly because of them, the patches are now getting into major sports leagues and major uh, groups around the world that in the very near future, we're going to be hearing about what our patches are doing in some of these major professional sports teams and in other areas as well. So much of the global population is seeking help for mind body imbalances. Chances are you're on this call, you all be part of it. And so you need to think about this and don't think about it in terms of, I just want my body to feel better. I want my body to work better. I need more energy. That's all well and good, but I want to broaden your thinking and saying that you're talking about neurology. You're not talking about putting a supplement or a herb in your body to affect an outcome. You're talking about enhancing the natural intelligence that runs your body and your mind to body connection. You're talking about enhancing that and bringing it back optimally online so that your body naturally does what it's doing. And the result is not just better feeling in your body, but more orderly functioning of your mind. That's really, really important. And so I want to invite you to engage for yourself. Get patched, feel the difference. And if you want to go to our Facebook page, Patch and Go, uh, there's loads, thousands of testimonies of people from all over the world that are using these and are getting remarkable and life-changing results with them. There are two ways that you can engage it. You can try it risk-free, um, directly from your host who would have invited you onto the call. or through their website. It is not sold on online platforms, and there are no white label products. The company does not outsource it to other companies for other branding, and there are no imitations brand. It's only available through Superpatch and through Superpatch affiliates. Your host can tell you about the various options you can get it at, and the price is really, really reasonable for a month's supply of it for what this does for your life, not just your physical health, but what it's going to do for your life. The other way that you can participate, Brad, if you want to be a consumer, if you want to go further than that, you can also become a business owner, where you can have the best of both worlds, which makes it more affordable to sustain it long term. And you want to be able to use the patches long term because and let it become part of your accessories, because maintaining that balanced, clean mind body integration, not just for the proper functioning of your body, but to harnessing the clearer functioning of your mind as you learn, as we can all learn to nurture and harness our inner capacities and start walking that process backwards to a life of better wholeness, a life of better wellness, a life, a more effective way of living. Um, for those who might be interested in looking at launching a global super patch business, we talk about this on Monday evening. For those who might be interested, we talk about how meaningful it is. We look at the rewarding, how it's globally scalable, how lucrative it is. It's a very exclusive model, and how you can launch your own global scalable business. We'll talk about on Monday. 7:30 to 8:30, you can request a link from your um, from your host, whoever invited you on. But ladies and gentlemen, what I shared with you tonight is not just a tool that can help your body to work better and function better. It is about how you can just not feel better. You can learn. You can begin to think better, so that we can begin to live better. This is a huge life transformative um, tool that we can use to bridge that gap. Mind body dissonance and the imbalance between mind and body is the biggest downfall that we face today that's affecting society across the board. That's why I have joined the mission to share this with the world, because I don't know of anything else, even in my own counseling with other people, this has become such a tremendous help. Because once you start to feel better in your body, you're going to start to feel better in your mind. And when you start to feel better in your mind, you feel better in your body. And then with the use of the patch, as it bridges the harmony between mind and body, you have a platform now for nurturing it even more and more. And so I really want to thank you for taking your time and being on tonight and giving me the opportunity to share this with all of you. What you have heard tonight is something that can change your life on multiple levels. And so you can get with the person that shared it with you, get your questions answered, and all the way on Monday night, when we go through the commercial side of what Super Patch offers, that takes about a half an hour, and the rest of the time is spent answering, being interactive and answering any questions you may have about the technology, or any questions you may have about the business side of it. And so thank you all very much. God bless each and every one of you in your own journey of life. I know you have something new that you can add and engage with to make your life a much better experience. Good night. God bless you all.